All right, everybody, welcome to Beyond the Mat. It is May 8th, 2022. It's Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. We had ourselves a Wrestlemania Backlash tonight. I thought it was a decent pay-per-view given the fact that a lot of us had some low expectations going into this one. We only had a 6-match card, no ladies match other than Flair and Rousey. We had the tag unification canceled, mostly due to the fact that the Fox network honestly delayed this until later in the summer so WWE can do it on a bigger show because they want to have their own roster. And to me, Fox shouldn't be involved in what's going on with the WWE roster. Fox doesn't know what's best. WWE does. They were about to unify the tag titles, and Fox didn't want them to do it because of the fact that it would have guys going back and forth all the time for shows if you have one unified tag champions, as we do one unified Universal and WWE champion. I don't see that lasting much longer, according to the fact that Fox doesn't like having this, doesn't like Roman Reigns going to USA. Now, all this can end when WWE renegotiates their TV rights deals and gets both shows on the same network so we can see better programming and more consistent programming between the two shows. So I'm excited for that day to come because I'm a little bit tired of seeing this kind of stuff where we have something that we're getting excited for, but it can't happen because certain guys are on one show, one guys are on another show, and then they can't ever feud when they really should feud. And then when they do feud, it's a problem because they're on separate shows and people complain about that. And it never really plays out the way it should be. I mean, on SmackDown right now, the only person who's a formidable opponent for Roman Reigns is Drew McIntyre. After that, I don't know what the hell they're going to do. He's got to just give one of those belts to somebody on Raw, or somebody's got to win it somewhere along the summertime. So that way we have guys on Raw with something to fight for, because at this point, there's no way I see Shinsuke Nakamura doing anything. Now, other than that, some of the big matches on this show, they didn't even have a finish for them until about an hour leading into the show. We also knew ahead of the show that we had a decent set of matches, but really not anything that we felt like was very impactful. Now, I felt like this show going into it was going to be more of like a stepping stone show for a lot of different storylines. And we did sort of see that play out tonight with a lot of different things. I thought it was a nice show. I really think that WWE, with events like this, they have 6 matches, which is honestly what we should expect. WrestleMania had 14 over 2 nights, so it had an average of 7 per night. This 6 matches. WrestleMania Night 1 had 6 matches. And when you only have 6 matches on one of these arena pay-per-views, then you have your talent really trying to work harder to get on the pay-per-view. And this week, if you take away all the recap packages and all the nonsense that we saw on TV, we actually did get some pretty good matches. We got a good tables match. Kofi Kingston looked more fired up than I'd seen him in a long time. We got 2 good 6-competitor matches on Raw. The ladies match to end the show, and then the men's match with Alpha Academy, Street Profits, Owens, and Zeke. Those were good matches on Raw. So if you take the whole week as a whole and the matches that were on the television shows, minus the 24/7 and some of the other bullshit, it was actually a pretty good week of matches. And I know that going into these pay-per-views, we're going to get the best out of these guys that they can possibly give us, and that's exactly what we got. I don't think we're going to see a better match between Madcap and Corbin. I don't think we're going to see a better match between Omas and anybody in the pro wrestling world. So I really do think that it's a good thing to limit the amount of people that are on the pay-per-view. I would have liked to seen more of a 50-50 split between ladies and men's matches, but there's only so much we can do. But it made the TV matches better, and it made these matches stand out more, because when they go to a pay-per-view, they don't mess around. They haven't really messed around with crappy matches at pay-per-view in a while. And I got to tell you, I'm in a pretty good mood tonight. I'm going to stay positive. I thought WWE delivered a nice little Backlash pay-per-view. We were all expecting somewhat of a letdown at the WrestleMania. The card was not that great on paper, but like we all said when we were previewing this, that it would probably be a much better show to watch than we've seen on paper, and that's how I think it played out tonight. Now, we open up the show tonight by having a video package, pretty good video package here, hyping up every match coming up. WWE always does a great job with these packages. They really get me excited for what's to come, and they do a good job of recapping everything and setting the table for the feuds that they're going to be playing out on the show. So I thought really good video package to open the show. And our opening match of the night was Cody and Seth. We had the Raw announcers out for this one. Story here is that Seth was not really prepared for the WrestleMania match. Seth enters first here. He has a blue fur cape on. Everyone's singing his music. He's laughing into the camera. He's wearing black sequence, see-through shirt here with studs all over it and teal blue trim. Ends up stripping out of that into some pants that look similar than that. Seth says he's ready now. Cody chants start to break out just before Cody enters to a huge babyface reaction. Does a crotch chop on his way to the ring, fires up the crowd. So, like I say, we got a match here between a guy who thinks he wasn't ready at WrestleMania and a big babyface who's getting pushed and needs to overcome the fact that Seth Rollins now is prepared for him. And that's exactly how they played this match out. Rollins started out by faking a charge at Cody, and then they start to circle around each other. Cody finally gets the better of Seth here with an arm lock. Then Seth reverses it, goes for a back suplex. Cody flips, reverse that, goes for the sit-down slap, but Rollins blocks it. Commentary starts putting over the fact that Rollins is prepared now. Seth then gains control, gets into the corner, kicks Cody down a little bit. Now he charges the corner. Cody dodges that, goes for another sit-down slap, but Cody scouts that one also. Rolls him up for a 2 count. They trade wrist locks here and then hit some slaps on each other. Cody drops Rollins down, takes him to the turnbuckle, hits him with a couple punches, but Rollins escapes the ring, goes ring around the Rosie around the ring post, then gets back in the ring, hits a super kick on Cody, then mounts some punches, works his boot into his face. Rollins now has the upper hand here. Hits a running knee on Cody on the apron, sends him to the ringside area. Chases him down, tries to run his head into the steel steps, but Cody reverses that. Slams Rollins' head into the steel steps. Then bashes Rollins' head into the barricade. Goes to charge, but runs right into a lariat by Rollins. Rollins then gets into the ring. Tries to make a pin, but only gets one. Rollins then starts beating down Cody, getting frustrated. Locks in a rear chin lock to slow things down. Cody starts fighting out. Blocks an insecurity attempt by Seth Rollins, then hits a slap. Then a delayed suplex followed by a nice looking disaster kick here, bouncing off the ropes. Goes for a pin, only gets 2. Rollins then baits him in, but Cody doesn't fall for it. They are back up in the mid-ring. Rhodes goes for another disaster kick. Rollins throws him out of the ring, though, because he catches it, fouls him out, runs him into the timekeeper's barricade, then into the announce table, takes him into the ring, mounts some more punches. Boos start to rain in here. Rollins is back in control now here and hits a knee, some overhand punches to Cody, and then Rhodes tries to fight back. They trade some blows for a minute or two. Cody gets the better of this one. Seth reverses an Irish whip attempt and sends Cody right into the turnbuckle, then rings Cody's neck on the second rope to finish him off with a stomp there at the lower back area. Takes him out of the corner with a snapmare, then hits a knee to the back again. Hits a double axe handle slam. Locks on a real headlock to slow down the match there. Cody elbows out of the headlock, but Seth counters with a headbutt. Story of the match here so far is that Seth's reversing pretty much all Cody's offense. So Seth is prepared here. So how is Cody going to be able to overcome the fact that Seth knows what Cody's doing? And Seth's a heel, so he's going to be using some heel tactics here coming up. Cody ends up powering out of the corner here. Then Rollins reverses an Irish Rip, but Cody pops up. Hits a beautiful looking sunset flip off the third rope for 2. Cody then gets Rollins up. Hits a delayed superplex. Now both men are down for a little while. They trade some chops, strikes mid-ring. Then they start swinging like idiots, just wailing at each other. Cody takes a low kick, but then nails a shoulder block. Cody body slams Seth. Then he lariats him out to the ringside area. He misses a springboard attack to the ringside area where Rollins was. Rollins rolls into the ring, goes for a suicide dive, but Rhodes nails him in the face with an elbow. Beautiful looking Cody cutter just after this. They seem a little clunky in some spots, but they were working a really nice match here. It seemed like they might have been a little bit rushed for time because they weren't selling as long as they normally do, but the psychology was really nice. So after this, Rhodes goes for a cover, gets a 2 count. Rollins fights back with an enziguri and a roundhouse kick for a 2 count of his own. We got both guys down again as Rollins sets up for the curb stomp. Goes to hit it, but Cody gets up and reverses it right into a crossroads attempt by Cody, but Seth dodges it and pushes Cody into the ropes. Rollins whips Cody into the corner, but he does the flare flip onto the apron. Heads to the top rope to try to hit an elbow, but run right into a booth by Seth Rollins. They trade pedigree attempts, and then Seth Rollins hits the rolling elbow and the knockout punch. Transitions into a beautiful-looking Falcon Arrow for a very close near fall. Cody kicks out. We're getting This Is Awesome chants breaking out now. They trade some pedigree attempts again. Then eventually Cody goes off the ropes, but he runs right into a buckle bomb by Seth. Then Rollins comes off the top rope with a really beautiful looking frog splash for another really close near fall. Crowd's really going crazy right now, as they should, while these men are putting on a beautiful display of pro wrestling here. Seth ends up going for a 450 splash from the top rope. Cody ends up rolling away. Cody hits him with a super kick in the face, goes to the top rope. Seth meets him there, though, and superplexes him off, rolls through. Cody then reverses the roll through and hits the crossroads, covers. But we end up getting Seth's foot on the rope at the 3 count, so the match goes on. We spill out to the ringside area where Cody starts to get frustrated. He starts beating Rollins' face into the announce table against the barricades, into the apron. They go back into the ring now. Cody in control now. He goes for a moonsault, but Rollins then moves out of the way. Rollins ends up hitting the pedigree right after this. Cody kicks out at 2.8 seconds. Rollins now telling Cody he's not good enough to even lace his boots. He starts laying in some kicks on a down Cody's head. Rollins now in control at the end here, landing some punches on a reeling Rhodes here. Rhodes is trying to fight back, but can't get Rollins in control here. Rollins goes for the knockout punch, but Rhodes reverses it right into the crossroads. Hangs on. He's going for that Three Amigos style crossroads after crossroads after crossroads, but Rollins able to get out of it before he lands the second one. He hits him with the knee to the face and then puts him on his back in an vertebra lock. Cody's able to roll out of this, but Rollins tries to roll him up off the ropes, off the rebound in an O'Connor roll. After the O'Connor roll, he is holding Cody's tights to try to win by cheating. Cody's able to row through this, and he holds Rollins' tights and gets the 1, 2, 3, doing the same thing Rollins tried to do to him. So, we have ourselves a match here that was well worked by both men. It ended with a roll-up finish, and a lot of people are probably going to crap on the roll-up finish, but to me, given the story, it makes a lot of sense. You have Cody Rhodes coming in here with Rollins now prepared for him. Cody Rhodes has to overcome this. He's trying everything he can. He can't hit his Three Amigos Styles crossroads. The Cody cutter's not cutting it for him. The disaster kick's not cutting it for him. We didn't see a bionic elbow. But on the other hand, we have Seth trying to cheat to win here by doing the O'Connor roll-up and pulling the tights. And Cody basically said, fuck that. Even though I'm a babyface, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win while I'm here. And he ended up winning the same way that Seth Rollins was trying to beat him. So I have no problem with the roll-up. It wasn't like a stupid schoolboy roll-up that made everybody look stupid. It was actually something that made sense given the storyline of the match. Do I love roll-ups? No, but it's hard to see another finish that really would have made sense here because of the fact that we've seen 3 crossroads end this match at WrestleMania. A lot of the dark matches and house show matches have been that way. They wanted to get creative here. A roll-up's not that creative, but the fact that Seth Rollins was trying to pull the tights and cheat on the roll-up. And then Cody did the same thing back to him, being a babyface, but not in a heel way, more in a way to say, hey, if you're going to do that to me, I'm going to do that to you. It really builds up Cody's character a little bit stronger, makes him seem more like he's got an edge. And I really like the way that this one ended here. Now, where do we go from here? Who the hell knows? This match probably could go to the Hell in a Cell. I think they need to keep these two feuding together as long as they can until they're ready for Cody to be fed to a champion or be in some sort of Money in the Bank match for a championship shot or whatever, because the two of them put on great matches. Seth can continue to maintain his heat no matter what happens to him, and the two of these guys just really put on a show. And if they want to continue to showcase Cody, there's no better person to put him up against than the number one heel on Raw in Seth Rollins. So very good worked match. I enjoyed it a lot. The ending, some people will think it's questionable, but I think it's passable given the story and given the way the match was worked. I would give this match a solid 4 out of 5 stars just because the ending was a little bit abrupt and could have been better. But again, it made a lot of sense with the storyline, and it made a lot of sense the way the in-ring psychology was working tonight with having Cody not really prepared, Seth way more prepared, countering a lot of Cody's offense. And again, this was just a very well-worked match, probably the best worked match of the night, but I thought they were all very good for what they were worth. Next up, we had Omas and Bobby Lashley. So we all know that Bobby Lashley beat Omas at WrestleMania. Going into this match, to me, there was no point in having Bobby Lashley beat him again because he already had. And if Bobby Lashley's going to win this match, then what the hell did MVP really do for Omas? Now, this match went longer than the WrestleMania match. It was a good match. It started out with them trading some blows. Bobby got the upper hand here, started working over Omas. He had some quickness here. You could tell in the beginning that was his upper hand. He fought out of an early choke here and then continued to beat Omas with some punches, dodged a charge from him, hit him with a kick to the gut. Bobby then goes to run the ropes. MVP's on the apron and distracts him, so this allows Omas to take advantage, hit a boot to the face to gain some control here. He threw Lashley into the corner, hit him with 3 big corner splashes and a corner forearm, locks in a rear chin lock in the middle of the ring to slow things down, starts grunting like a freaking animal. Lashley then fights out of this. Let's go Bobby chants are breaking out all over the arena. Omas grabs his head, sends him over the top rope to the ringside area as Lashley gathers himself while MVP talks shit to him, asking if he feels almighty right now. Back in the ring now, Omas picks up Lashley, says he's too small, hits a snake eyes on the turnbuckle, followed by a rebound boot to the chin of Lashley. Omas then gets Lashley to the ropes, drives his knee into the back of Lashley while MVP asks him if he's rethinking things. Lashley escapes another carry attempt by Omas and lands a few kicks to him. Then hits him with an elbow, gets on Omas's back, locks in a sleeper hold. Omas gets rid of him pretty quickly here and charges Bobby, but Bobby dodges it. Weird spot here. Bobby goes to run the ropes. Looks like he's looking for a spear and then just kind of hits the side of Omas with a shoulder here. I don't know what the hell they were going for, but anyway, eventually he gets Omas up against the ropes. Omas gets tied up in the ropes and stuck. Bobby takes advantage of this and keeps beating the hell out of him. Stops before the referee gets to 5 to disqualify him. I really thought that this was going to end here. They were going to disqualify Bobby and get out of this match with that kind of finish. It's really what it seemed like. Now MVP's out there saying it's not fair. He's sticking his cane up into the ropes trying to pry Omas out of there. Now Bobby backs up a little bit, and MVP is at the ringside area closest to the entrance. Bobby gets out of the ring and puts him in the hurt lock, but this allows Omas to break free, go over, grab Bobby by the head, bring him back into the ring. Bobby quickly nails him with a basement drop kick and a flatliner. This allows him to get the hurt lock locked in on Omas. Didn't look like he was going to get it at first, but he was able to get it locked in. It affected Omas for a minute, but Omas eventually got out of it. It took Omas some ridiculous-looking faces and animal noises to get out of this one, MVP was also encouraging him from ringside, saying all kinds of shit. So he actually got out of the hurt lock by backing Bobby into the corner. Omas is being told by MVP to keep him there, keep him in the corner, don't get out of there. So we're in the corner now. Omas backs up and goes to charge Bobby, but runs right into 2 feet to his face. He slams Omas into the corner, does a corner spear, and a couple corner elbows. Sets up mid-ring for another snap suplex like he did at WrestleMania, but Omas fights out of it. Then hits the ropes, runs right into a big spine buster by Lashley. Lashley sets up for a spear, but runs right into a knee, gets slammed into the ring post. MVP then pokes him in the eye with his cane. This allows Omas to hit his choke bomb finish and gets the 1, 2, 3. So what we got here is Omas working a much better match than he's ever worked before. We got Bobby Lashley coming out of this one alive, which I'm happy. There was no spots that really looked dangerous where Omas nearly killed him like he did at WrestleMania. We had some interference by MVP as expected, and that's ultimately what gave Omas the edge here. I think that the right guy won, and I think that the right finish happened. I don't know that it makes Bobby look very strong to have him get poked in the eye and then choke bombed, but nonetheless, the finish needed to have some interference, to have some importance of MVP being there, and Lashley needed to lose this one to Omas to show that Omas has some character progression with MVP to side. I got no problems with the way this went down. In fact, I was very, very, very pleasantly surprised with what we saw tonight from these two men. Where do we go from here? I'm really not sure. I think more of Lashley and Omas would be a mistake. I think Omas needs to move on. Lashley needs to move on to dealing with MVP because he's the real one who made him lose here. But who knows? We could see some more interaction between Lashley and Omas with MVP still talking shit and getting involved the way that he does. But either way, I really like the way that MVP was supplanting himself as the piece of shit manager that he is and that he portrays by talking shit the whole match and really getting under Bobby's skin. Ultimately, he costed Bobby the match, and that's really what we expected. So I thought that they did a good job here. It wasn't a shitty match. It wasn't a 5-minute fucking squash. It wasn't one where Bobby Lashley looked like he had to completely carry Omas, although he had to do a lot of work to keep this one pretty good. But other than that, I really think that this was a good match for the two of these guys, and it's the best we could hope for out of Omas. And I'd like to see Lashley move on now, but regardless, it was well done. Like I said, the stories tonight were what mattered, and they furthered the story of Lashley and MVP, and they furthered the story of MVP and Omas together. So now moving on, we got another WrestleMania rematch. We got Edge and AJ Styles. The story of this one is that Styles is getting a rematch here with Edge. Edge is injured Styles' shoulder in kayfabe, so it's questionable whether Styles can hit his phenomenal forearm finish. We also have Damian Priest banned from ringside, and to me, going into this match, it was all about how is the Judgment Day faction going to grow after this match. I honestly believed that AJ Styles was going to pull out the victory here, but then take a huge beating for it by whoever the third member of Judgment Day was. But as we saw it play out, it happened a little bit differently. So here we go. This match starts out with them throwing some haymakers at each other like it should, because there's some serious heat between these two guys. Styles gets the upper hand at first. They get out to the ringside area where Styles starts going wild, starts running Edge into the barricades, into the ring post, rolls back in and out of the ring, and then drives Edge right into the announce desk, and then throws him back into the ring where Edge rolls out of the front like the true heel that he is. Good move there by Edge, good psychology. Styles then hits him with a running rocket drop kick right through the bottom rope, then hits a picture-perfect Asai springboard moonsault to the outside. Goes for a forearm in the ring now, but Edge blocks him with a kick to the shoulder. Edge gets control here and rams Styles in an ugly manner into the lower part of the turnbuckle. I don't know if this was on purpose or not, but then he gets his arm wrapped around the ring post and starts working on that arm. Then Edge takes a turn at ringside, ramming AJ into the ring steps. Actually ramming his shoulder into the ring steps, gets back inside the ring, reverses an attack by AJ, and hits him with a really nice armbar takedown. He had gone for an armbar earlier, but this time Edge locked in a key lock to AJ Styles and then transitioned that into a modified shoulder lock. Edge, working like a true heel, then actually asks AJ how his shoulder is doing. Styles eventually gets out of this and works Edge into the corner, but Edge lifts him up, hangs him on the top rope. Edge in control now. Styles in a lot of agony. Edge starts stomping on AJ as he's hanging there from the corner rope. Before he can get up, though, in mid-ring, Styles is eventually trying to fight back here. He dodges a clothesline attempt by Edge and then nails a really sweet-looking Pele kick. This brings both men down for the double down. We then get up. Styles is still favoring his shoulder. They run the ropes and hit double cross bodies on each other and both go down again. AJ then gets up, hits a couple of lariats, hits a sliding forearm, gets back in control of this one with a big stinger splash. Then he nails an inverted Michinoku driver for 2. Edge climbs up to the top rope, but Styles meets him there, hits him with some blows, and then nails a beautiful Hurricane Rana off the top rope. Goes for a cover, only gets 2. Commentaries talking about how Styles can't even hook a leg with his injured arm here. Then we got Styles looking for a Styles clash. Edge reverses it. AJ gets him into a fireman's carry anyway and hits a nice face buster to his knee. Another 2 count on that one. Edge regains control after that by reversing a single leg takedown, then hits a shoulder breaker and locks in the crossface. AJ gets out, locks in a calf crusher submission. Edge is in a lot of agony here. He's trying to reach for the ropes. Eventually, he grabs Styles' head, slams it down, but that only works for a second, and AJ locks in the calf crusher again. This only works for a little bit because Edge eventually makes the ropes. Now we're in the corner. Edge nails a big German suplex out of the corner while Edge was trying to remove one of the turnbuckle's covers. It took it with him while he did that, and he went to throw AJ into that turnbuckle. AJ reversed it and threw Edge into it. Then he went to go for a cover but only got 2. Edge came up a little bit, hit a spear for a near fall. Then Edge goes for a spear and runs right into a knee by Styles. Styles hangs him on the top rope and lands a Styles clash. Assisted by the top rope, he goes for the pin but gets a very, very near fall. I thought it was over here. AJ then goes to set up for the phenomenal forearm, but heads up top. Commentary's talking about he's going to use the top rope to help him do this. As this is happening, we have Priest coming to the entranceway, and Styles stare at him saying, what the hell, he's not supposed to be here. Suddenly, Balor runs in, takes out Priest. I'm thinking, yay, we got Balor in here saving AJ Styles. This is all great. Suddenly, a hooded figure appears right next to Styles and pulls him down from the top rope. And Edge hooks in the crossface on Styles. Styles passes out and gets the win. The hooded figure comes into the ring, bows a knee to Edge, reveals the mask to be Rhea Ripley. So Rhea Ripley is our 3rd member of the Judgment Day faction. I'm excited about that. It's been rumored. I've been talking about it. She needs the direction of this. I think it's great. I think having a female member in this is great. She looked really good with a little bit of a new hairstyle tonight, new hair color. Same look as she always had because she's always looked like a fucking demon dominatrix. But having her work with Edge now, I think, is good. As much as I've said negative things about the Edge faction and all that, Edge is one of the best wrestlers of all time. He's one of my favorite wrestlers of my lifetime. I've met him a million times. He's a great guy. The promos have been a little bit heavy-handed, but I like the fact that he's working with people that need the rub and need some more of a kickstart to this part of their career. Priest certainly fits that mold. Rhea Ripley certainly could benefit from this. They need another man in this group so that they can have tag matches with AJ Styles and Balor versus Priest and whoever, because we know Edge isn't going to be wrestling on TV. I can see this match going to a Hell in a Cell. If I was AJ Styles, I would want to have a match that nobody can come in, nobody can come out, no interference whatsoever. Now, We've seen Edge in so many fucking Hell in a Cell matches that I don't know if they'll waste one on him. I don't know how many Hell in a Cell matches they're going to have, because I could sit here and tell you that I think McIntyre and Reigns could go in the cell. Edge and Styles could go in the cell. Cody and Seth could go in the cell. Flair and Rousey could go in the cell. A lot of matches could go into the cell. This one probably needs it, though, considering all the interference. But again, I really like the fact that we got some progression in the Judgment Day thing. We got Rhea Ripley out here. We did get Finn Balor come out to show us that he's aligned with Styles at least now, and get rid of Damian Priest. When he came down, he brought Priest into the ring, landed some punches, got him out of the ring, kept beating him up ringside. But ultimately, it was the masked figure that made the difference here. I could tell it was a lady just by the build. You know, one of the things I was thinking was, could this be Ciampa? And then I looked at the legs and just the build of the character. I was like, no, this is a female. And the way that they had her, she didn't look as tall as she normally does. And it almost surprised me. But as soon as I saw female legs, or at least female-looking legs, Rhea Ripley went right into my head. We've seen this coming. It's been telegraphed. There's been purple lights going on behind her in her promos. And at the end of the day, great match between Edge and AJ Styles. I think this was way better than the Wrestlemania match. Now that we have a little bit more clarity on the faction, the way they finished this one, having Priest try to interfere, having Balor make the save, then having somebody other than Priest make the distraction, I'm fine with it, because Styles actually had to have a very good match here. He nearly had it won. Edge won by the distraction. And at the end of the day, they did more than I expected them to do, and that's something I have to give them credit for. Now, speaking of people that did more than what I thought they would do, we had ourselves the SmackDown Women's Championship I Quit match. We knew this one was going to be a hard-hitting affair. Two women beating the hell out of each other with weapons, and that's exactly what it was. It's hard to see Ronda Rousey being a champion, given the fact that she's totally bombed on her promos this whole entire time. And it was hard to see either woman say, I quit. But Charlotte Flair did the job tonight, and it was a hell of a match. I mean, it's about all you can hope for from two women wrestling an I Quit match. I mean, this was an absolute gut buster. So we had Charlotte coming out wearing a dark blue gear, but she was covered initially with a black dress, you know, the typical Charlotte Flair queen dress. Every time she's worn black to cover her ring gear, she's lost, at least as far as I know. Typically, when she's planning to put somebody over, she wears black. So that was one thing that I knew going into this. As soon as I saw her wearing black, I was like, all right, Rousey's going over. So anyway, they start out real aggressive here. Rousey hits some knees on Charlotte, nails her with an elbow. Rousey gains control with the waist lock. Flair then fights out of it with an elbow. Rousey tosses her around with some judo throws, starts working on that arm, setting up for her armbar finish. So the psychology in this match, Ronda was really working on Charlotte's arm a lot. Charlotte was more just trying to beat the shit out of Ronda with whatever she could in whatever way that she could. I thought she would do more leg manipulation to set up the figure eight, but she didn't. She just was trying to beat the fuck out of her. Charlotte then gains control here with a big clothesline from the corner, followed by another clothesline, sets up for a suplex, but gets countered with an exploder suplex, then a Piper's Pin attempt, but she slipped out of the Piper's Pit. Charlotte then hits a German suplex, drops Ronda right on the back of her head. She kips up from this. Now, on this German suplex, she dropped Ronda right on her neck. I thought Ronda was hurt. Now, as it turns out, we find out after this match, Charlotte actually suffered a broken arm. Now, Charlotte tries to go for a figure eight on Ronda, but Ronda rolls out of that. Ronda tries to lock in the armbar, but Flair rolls out of that, rolls out of the ring. Now we're at the ringside area. Charlotte uses a barricade as a weapon a few times, asks Ronda to quit. Ronda says no. Charlotte keeps chopping Rousey. Flair then goes to run Rousey into the ring post, but gets reversed. Rousey runs her head directly into the ring post. Then Ronda sends her into the timekeeper's area. Ronda then picks up the mic, slows down a little bit like she's going to ask for an I quit. But as soon as she gets around the corner to the timekeeper's area, she eats a big boot by Charlotte. So this slows things down for Ronda. Charlotte grabs a kendo stick from under the ring, attempts to use it on Ronda, but Ronda turns the table, gets a hold of the kendo stick, and chases Charlotte all the way up the ramp to the entranceway. Charlotte goes backstage to the gorilla position. I could tell she was getting something. I was really hoping Ronda wouldn't follow her back there because I figured it was a setup. Charlotte comes out with 2 kendo sticks. She charges at Ronda, starts swinging them. Ronda's kendo stick ends up breaking, but Charlotte swings both hers at Ronda. Ronda catches them, flips her over her onto the ramp. Now Ronda's got both kendo sticks and proceeds to beat the living crap out of Charlotte with them. Charlotte's running away from her the whole time. That was a theme in this match. Every time Ronda had some kind of upper hand or a weapon that could hurt Charlotte, Charlotte ran like a little pussy. But then you had Charlotte trying to do things to Ronda Rousey with weapons, and Rousey not running away at all. Rousey usually reversing it. So we get into the ring. Charlotte ends up getting sent ringside. The kendo sticks are completely broken apart by the time Ronda gets done hitting Charlotte with them. Ronda tries to follow her to the ringside area. Charlotte takes a camera from the cameraman, throws it at Ronda, but misses. Ronda then runs her into the barricade. They end up spilling into the crowd. They're brawling fists back and forth, back and forth. Ronda's getting the better of Charlotte here. Charlotte runs away to where the hockey boards would be in this arena. She sits there and she baits Ronda for a minute. Ronda goes to charge her. Charlotte throws a drink in her face and rams her head into the hockey boards. Then Charlotte proceeds to take Ronda up the arena steps in between all the fans. The fans are going crazy here. Then we have Charlotte Flair put Ronda Rousey through one of the railings and puts her into a position where she's got her back leveraged against the railing pole, and she's asking her if she would quit. Ronda still won't quit here. She basically had a modified camel clutch on Ronda here, with driving her knee into the back and using that railing as a leverage. After that was over, she threw Ronda down the steps back to the floor. They start to work themselves back to the ring area, but Charlotte grabs a chair, charges Ronda with it. Ronda catches it, takes the chair. Charlotte runs from Ronda, who has the chair now. She goes under the ring, grabs another chair of her own. While she was looking under the ring, McAfee said, I don't know if Butch is under there, but I know weapons are under there. So anyway, Ronda comes back to the ringside area, goes to swing the chair, but Charlotte stops her from doing that, takes the chair. She runs Ronda into the announce table a couple times. Crowd starts to get into this. They're chanting, we want tables, over and over and over again. Charlotte doesn't give a shit about the we want tables chants. Picks up Ronda Rousey and hits a nice barricade bomb on her. Ronda still denying to say, I quit. Charlotte keeps saying it's her title. Ronda takes a few slaps, fights back after that with some punches of her own. Goes for a Piper's Pit, but gets her eyes raked by Flair. Then she gets thrown to the ring post herself. Fans continue to buzz about the tables. Flair goes up, but Ronda chases her at the top rope and gets Charlotte caught on that rope in the Tree of Woe type style, except she's not hanging inside the ring. She's hanging over to the outside of the ring. Ronda puts her in an armbar lock, hanging over the apron. Charlotte won't quit. They then drop both down to the floor with a big thud. Looked like it hurt for both of them. Women slowly get up. Charlotte has a steel chair, nails Ronda a few times. Ronda still won't quit. Ronda sent back into the ring, where Flair nails her with a natural selection, planting Ronda's face right onto the chair. Ronda's asked if she will quit. She says she will not. Flair then locks in the figure eight, slapping Ronda, who's trying to stop her from doing that. Locks in the bridge. Ronda still won't quit as she screams and screams in agony, but also screams, I'm not going to quit. Eventually, Ronda grabs a chair, hits Flair a few times to break the hold because the chair was right next to her with that hold in there. Gets out of that with the chair, but then eats Charlotte's boot to the face. Charlotte then sets up the chair and says, Ronda, this is your last chance. So she's got the fucking chair sitting down in the ring as if you were going to sit in this. She says, this is your last chance, Ronda. Happy Mother's Day. Rousey then grabs Charlotte's arm, drags it through the back of the chair, locks in an armbar. Charlotte says she doesn't quit. Ronda says, I was hoping you would say that, bitch. And then she leans back, uses her leg as leverage, locks on the armbar even harder, and Charlotte starts screaming, I quit immediately. And your new SmackDown Women's Champion is Ronda Rousey. Babyface champion now, Ronda Rousey. Where do we go from here? Are we going to get Lacey Evans challenge her? Well, Lacey Evans has been presented as a babyface, we think. But I think we're getting hoodwinked with that one. I think it's going to be a swerve. I think the fact that Samantha Irvin announced her the other night, that is a major heel move. That's not something a babyface does. Babyfaces don't tell crowds to stand up and applaud them. I have a feeling that this wonderful Lacey Evans story, which it is, it's sad. She's gone through a lot of stuff. It's a great story. I can get behind that. I think she's going to come in and say, listen, I've been through all this shit. All you superstars haven't. You guys aren't better than me because of that. And she's going to come in as a heel and be Rousey's first challenger. If not, we can have Bayley come back and be Rousey's first challenger. If that doesn't happen, I can see these two going to a Hell in a Cell match if Flair's not going on some kind of vacation. Regardless, hell of a fucking match between these two ladies. I'm really happy with what I saw. Definitely not a letdown. Yes, the promos and the segments to get here have been a letdown, but this was a great match. Great display of athleticism and toughness between both of them, and the finish worked well. You had Charlotte being cocky with that chair, trying to say shit about Ronda being a mother, and Ronda said, fuck you, grabbed her arm, brought it through the chair, locked in that armbar tighter than she probably ever has, because after the match we did get reports that Flair broke the radius bone in her arm. I had a tenured member of the writer team confirm that for me. So Flair did get hurt in the match with a hairline fracture to her wrist. You know, Flair's been rumored for vacation time, so who knows if that's going to happen. Who knows what's going to happen with Lacey. Who knows what's going to happen with Bayley. Who knows what's going to happen here. All we know is that Ronda is going to be around for the foreseeable future as our babyface SmackDown Women's Champion. I was real happy with this match. Very impressed by the way these two ladies performed. And this is awesome chance. We're going out throughout the whole fucking match. This match and the Cody Seth match both got lots of fanfare, lots of this is awesome chance. So this was a good match between the two of them. I'm happy with the way that they did it, and I'm excited to see what comes next. Coming up next on this show, though, we have Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin. So going into this one, I thought no reason for Madcap to get a big win this early. We need him to continue to feud with Corbin, continue to build up some momentum behind him from the crowd by rubbing him up against a guy that everybody hates. So that was my thought going into it, but I also could see where you have Madcap go over and Corbin gets so fucking distraught he changes his gimmick to something else, and Madcap can move on to better things. So this match starts out with a nice tie-up. Corbin gets early control here. Moss fights back with some punches, gets a shoulder block in, catches an enziguri and sends Corbin to the ropes, takes him down with a hip toss after some nifty ducking and dodging of rope running by Corbin. Corbin then sends Moss to the apron and gets in control with a knee, spikes him with a big choke slam into the middle of the ring, hits a knee and sends Moss to the ringside area, then runs Moss into the ring post out there, puts him on the barricade, rains in some punches on his face, throws him back in the ring, talks some shit to the crowd. McAfee then says something funny here. He says, "That lady just said you suck, and I agree with her," talking about Corbin. So anyway, Corbin goes to grab Moss. Madcap fights back, but catches an elbow. Corbin covers him up, but only gets 2 out of it. In the corner, Corbin beats Moss down, then whips him across to the other corner, drops him on impact. Corbin starts landing some elbows to the chest from behind, then locks in a rear chin lock to slow the match down. Moss tries to fight back now. He hits some blows, but then he's sent to the corner again. He sidesteps a charging Corbin, who gets out of the ring, but then ring around the Rosies. The ring post gets right back in, nails a lariat for another 2 count. Boos start to rain in. Corbin then dumps Moss with a pump handle takeover, and then he actually hit a really nice looking back senton, digging deep into his bag of tricks there. Is Corbin. I never really seen him do that. It honestly looked like he was setting him up for the end of days the way he was holding his head, but he ended up hitting that pump handle slam there. So anyway, Madcap catches an elbow here from Corbin before sending a charging Corbin out of the ring. Corbin lands on his feet, though. Corbin gets back in the ring, but Moss sends him out again. Then he chases him in the ringside area, throws him into the ring post. He then lands some punches, re-enters the ring, and hits a corner shoulder charge. Goes for another shoulder charge, but runs right into Corbin's boot. Corbin charges Moss, but gets caught, and Moss hits a nice-looking fall-away slam for 2. Sets up for the punchline, but Moss ends up getting hit with a pump handle side slam for a near fall. Corbin now saying, "This is why I'm better than you." He lands some elbows on Madcap, sends him into the corner and charges. Corbin dodges and lands some elbows, places Madcap on the top rope but stalls. Madcap fights out of this, goes for a flying elbow, but Corbin dodges that and hits a really beautiful looking deep 6 for a 2.9 second near fall. Corbin then charges, sent outside of the ring, runs back in, but Madcap catches him with a sunset flip, goes for the pin, and we get the abrupt 1-2-3 finish. So, good match between the two of them. Corbin probably got the most out of Moss that we have seen ever. Moss had some speed in this match. Corbin looked good. I really like these matches where we have Corbin and somebody and we think it's going to suck, and then Corbin ends up making the guy look good. Corbin really made Madcap look good in this match. I don't see any reason for these guys to keep feuding at all. I see a gimmick change here for Corbin after losing this one. I think he's hit rock bottom in his own head at least, and he's going to change to something else. Madcap needs to move on to work with some other heels and get himself over a little bit more. Having him with Corbin, there's no better person to rub against to build a baby face, in my opinion. You know, guys like The Miz and guys like Rollins are better, but Corbin is one of those people who's universally hated. He works the hell out of every gimmick he has, works the hell out of every match he gets, and the pay-per-view matches he's on are usually pretty good. I thought, given the characters in this match, it was about as good as we could hope for, and I was pleased with it. So, no problems for me. I'm excited to see what's next for Madcap. Excited to see what kind of gimmick Corbin decides to change himself into if he does. If he doesn't, it is what it is. But I don't think we need to see these two guys again. I think that Madcap needs to move on from this feud, and Corbin needs to find somebody else to start antagonizing or another sidekick that will eventually turn on him. Who knows? Now, finally, we get to our main event. We have our 6-man tag team match. Used to be a tag unification match. Then we had Drew McIntyre insert himself. Roman Reigns insert himself. Eventually, we will get the tag unification match at one of the stadium shows. We're just not getting it now. It was a tease to gauge the fans' interest in it. It's definitely something fans are interested in. They're not going to do it until a bigger show, and they're not going to do a title match with Drew McIntyre and Reigns until a bigger show. This was at least their first interaction. At least we had 6 very good workers in the ring for our main event. I would say that it not having any stakes naturally made it underwhelming regardless of the finish, but it was still a really nice match. Lots of action, lots of false finishes, lots of good work by everybody. So we'll get into it in a second. Now, before the match, earlier in the night, we actually had some funny line here by Paul Heyman. When he was asked about Drew McIntyre, he said, McIntyre is a man who named a sword after his mother, and he needs serious psychotherapy. He will get it tonight from the tribal chief, Roman Reigns. And I thought that was kind of funny, the way he said that. He needs some psychotherapy because of the fact that he's swinging a freaking sword around that he named after his mom. I think he needed psychotherapy once he was telling those Loch This Monster stories. But regardless, I love Drew McIntyre. I thought this was a great match here. Big babyface reaction for McIntyre coming in. Even bigger one for RkBro. We get a bunch of crickets coming out of the ass of Riddle as he gets into the ring. Then we get the big Bloodline entrance to a mixed reaction. Mostly boos, honestly, and people trying to cover their ears from the pyro, it looked like. But Orton and Jimmy start this one out. They tie up. Jimmy backs Orton into the corner, lays in some punches. Orton then hits him in the eye. Orton nails him with an uppercut and then tags in Riddle. He and Riddle do a double team attack where he lifts up Riddle and does the assisted senton. Covers up Jimmy, only gets one. Jimmy then reverses an Irish whip to the corner. Drops Riddle as soon as he hits the turnbuckle. Then starts laying some chops into Riddle. This is starting to play out like a typical RkBro match where Riddle's isolated and getting the hell beaten out of him. Riddle then gains control here with a knee. Hits a very delayed gut-wrench suplex as he carried Jimmy all the way across the ring over to McIntyre so he could tag McIntyre in. Then finish the suplex. McIntyre's now and he takes over with some chops in the corner, beating the hell out of Jimmy. Jimmy hits a cheap shot to the throat, but Drew reverses a whip by Jimmy. Tries to dodge Drew coming at him, but Drew nails him in the face. Then he picks him up for a deadlift suplex. So it was actually a pretty cool looking spot here. McIntyre's charging Jimmy in the corner. Jimmy tries to jump up with his legs to catch McIntyre's head. McIntyre ducks, nails Jimmy in the face, then deadlifts him for a suplex. I thought that was a pretty impressive spot there. Drew then points to Roman. He wants Roman to tag in. Roman's hesitating. Heyman's down there telling him he loves him. Tells him not to tag in. Roman does tag in. He circles Drew a few times. Fans start getting into this. And then Roman tags out. Says he's the one who makes the decisions around here. He calls the shots. He's the shot caller. All this bullshit. So now we got Jay in the ring with Drew. He eats a boot by Drew, and then Drew picks him up, belly to belly over the head, release suplex, throws him across the ring. Your typical Drew McIntyre overhead release, belly to belly suplex, only this one was a little bit sloppy, but whatever, it still did the job. Then McIntyre tags Riddle into the match. They hit Jay with a double team move. Then Riddle takes over with a nice gut wrench suplex. Jimmy hits a blind tag, though, on Jay. Kicks the back of Riddle's head. Jay takes him down inside the ring. Then they both isolate Riddle in the heel corner now. Start stomping him down, choke him on the second rope. Jay comes in, hits a cheap shot, tags back in. They hit him with a wishbone split leg. Jay then power slams Riddle in the middle of the ring, stomps on his head. Riddle selling really hard here. You know, these matches with Riddle and RkBro, we always see Riddle getting the hell beat out of him, selling really good. So they continue inside the ring. They got Riddle's neck on the rope, wringing his neck again. Usos continue to take cheap shots on him. Upsets Orton and McIntyre. They're trying to stop this, trying to yell at the referee. Jay picks up Riddle, hits a backbreaker. Jimmy comes off the top rope, nails an elbow. They go for a cover, only get two. Riddle's still isolated in the heel corner. Heyman then says to Roman he can go in now. Roman tags himself in, stalks Riddle a little bit, throws him down by the head into one corner, starts to beat him down, hits some heavy right hands. Riddle then tries to fight back but runs right into a knee after he rebounds off the ropes. Roman nails him with a high elbow to the face, and Riddle hits the deck then. Reigns continues to taunt Orton and McIntyre. He won't let Riddle get a tag in here. Drops Riddle with a nice side Uranagi, then goes for a cover. He only gets two. Now, this was an Uranagi, not a rock bottom. I saw my fucking Twitter blow up, and the chat I was in with everybody saying, oh, he just hit a rock bottom. He just teased something with the rock. It's a rock bottom. No, it's an Uranagi, Okay, a rock bottom is when you grab somebody in similar fashion, but you go down with them. An Uranagi is when you grab somebody around the throat with your forearm and drop them to the side, and you remain standing. And that's what this was. Big E uses the move. Corbin uses the move. Roman uses the move all the time. I had somebody say, oh, he doesn't use it all. He uses it in every fucking match. He used it in the match to throw somebody on the announce table today. But anyway, we get Riddle back into the heel corner here. Jimmy gets tagged in. He lays it some blows into Riddle. Rams Riddle's head into the corner. Then he rams him into the other corner, goes for some more chops, hits a stinger splash, but Riddle dodges that. Riddle tries to crawl to the corner to make a tag, but Jey Uso comes in and cuts him off, rams him in between the ropes, hits the head on the post, then super kicks Orton off the apron, and then Jey poses mid-ring. Jey charges Riddle here and runs right into Riddle's knee. Jey tags Reigns in, and Riddle makes a tag to Drew. So now we got Roman and Drew in the ring at the same time. They face off and start to talk shit to each other. They exchange blows. Drew gets the better of it at first, but Reigns hits a knee to the gut. Drew then bounces out of the corner with a shoulder charge, follows with another one, then backs Reigns into the corner, hits a huge over-the-head release belly-to-belly suplex, then nails a net breaker on him. Belly-to-belly was exactly like we saw on SmackDown during the contract signing crash. Beautiful looking. Amazing that a specimen like Drew McIntyre can throw a monster like Roman across the ring like that. Then we get one of the Usos come in and try to attack Drew, but Drew dodges him, slams him, gets rid of him. Drew sets up for the Claymore on Roman, but then Jimmy Uso distracts him enough for Reigns to hit a Superman punch, sends Drew ringside. Back in control, Reigns now drives some knees into a grounded Drew's head. He works him into the corner. Orton and Riddle back up on the apron now. They were down for a while. Randy's chants start breaking out. Everybody wants Randy to get tagged in here. Roman's beating down on McIntyre in the corner. Roman hits the ropes, hits some lariats on McIntyre, drops him to the ground, asks for his belts and starts posing, holding both belts up in the middle of the ring during a match like the fucking cocky heel that he is. Punches Riddle off the apron in the process. Drew then uses this window to nail Reigns with a Claymore kick out of nowhere. Randy then starts firing up the crowd. Randy chants are breaking out. Riddle's at ringside on the ground, selling, even trying to cheer Randy on. Jimmy's in the match now. Orton gets tagged in, takes him down with two lariats, then a snap body slam. Then he dishes one out to Jey Uso, sets Jimmy up for the draping DDT, plants him with it, starts to Viper up now. As he's Vipering up here, Jimmy tries to come in and stop him, but Orton gets rid of him. Then Roman charges in, and Orton nails him with an RKO out of nowhere. The crowd is at a complete fever pitch at this point. Jimmy then surprises Orton with a super kick to his face, but that does not stop Orton from dishing out an RKO to him. Orton goes for a cover, but Jey makes a save on it. Orton then gets taken out. McIntyre enters the ring, takes out Jimmy Uso with a low suplex. He kind of just threw him across the ring. He set up for a Claymore on him, but ran right into a super kick. Jey then picks up Jimmy for stereo super kicks on McIntyre. They nail that, knock him down. Jey then drags Jimmy over, tags him so he can get himself in. Riddle gets a hot tag from McIntyre, hits some knees on Jey, then knees Roman to get him away from him. Hits a running knee to Jimmy on ringside, then nails an exploder suplex. Follows that up with a standing moonsault. Then he nails a fisherman suplex, goes up top for the floating bro. Nails the top rope floating bro. Goes for a cover, but only gets two. The fans really start getting into it now. This is awesome. Chants are starting to break out here. Riddle then starts to Viper up like he's going for an RKO, but he gets hit with a pop-up neck breaker by Jey. Jey goes for a pin, but Orton comes in and breaks that up. Jimmy comes in and takes him out, but Orton then takes him to the ringside area and just starts beating the living crap out of him. Roman then comes off the steps with a Superman punch to wipe Orton out, but then Drew comes in and sends Reigns right into the steel steps, clears off the announce table inside the ring, we just have Riddle laying down selling. Ringside, we have Orton down and both Usos down. McIntyre sets up for a powerbomb on the table, but Jimmy comes out of nowhere to try to stop it. He then eats a Glasgow kiss, but this allows Roman to put Drew through the table with another side Iranagi. Riddle comes through the ropes with a springboard moonsault, but Jay goes for a suicide dive just after this. Everyone gets taken out there in front of the announce table. Jay gets in the ring with Riddle. They trade some offense, mainly kicks here. Eventually, Riddle gets dropped. Uso goes up for the Uso splash, but Riddle hits an RKO right off the top rope out of nowhere. Really nice looking spot there. Looks like we got Riddle in control here, getting ready to win the match. But Roman enters the ring, folds Riddle in half with a freaking spear, hits the hell out of him, covers him up, nobody around to make the save, and Roman Reigns makes the cover for the win. 1, 2, 3, Bloodline wins here. I don't know if I agree with the way that they booked this. Now, awesome match, very good action. Obviously, if you got fans chanting, this is awesome the whole time, it's a good match. But to me, the baby faces should have went over here because now Roman Reigns has defeated this team. The Bloodlines defeated RkBro. There's no claim that the baby faces can make that they should have a shot. Now, that's one way to look at it. The way I look at it is it makes perfect sense because they had the Bloodline looking strong here, but during the match, we had RkBro definitely demonstrating that they can beat the Usos. They had the Usos beat several times, if not for saved pin attempts or pin breakups. They also had Roman Reigns beat at one time, if not for some breakups. So if it were a one-on-one match between McIntyre and Reigns, there'd be nobody there to break up the pin. If it were just RkBro and the Usos, there'd be nobody there to break up the pin, and there'd be nobody there to pin Riddle because Roman was the one who pinned Riddle. And in doing so, they protected Drew McIntyre from being pinned so he can say he didn't lose to anybody. Orton didn't get pinned, so that protects him from down the road. The right guy took the pin, and the right guy made the pin because in terms of the tag unification, which may eventually happen, you didn't weaken RkBro really because you had the tribal chief pin Riddle. You kept Randy Orton strong in this match. You kept Drew McIntyre strong because you kept him out of the final equation. And you also kept the Usos strong just by not making them lose. But you did show that RkBro can take advantage of them and can get in positions where they can win a match, if not for somebody coming in and breaking up the pin. So I think that the way the match was worked and the way that it was laid out, I felt like that it was done very well, and that despite the fact that I felt the baby faces should go over to heat up McIntyre and to throw some threat at the Bloodline, I also think that the way they booked the match, it did make sense for Roman Reigns to pin Riddle for all the reasons I just stated. This was a really good match. It was a really good pay-per-view. 6 matches, all of them exceeded my expectations for what they would be, and I was happy with what we saw tonight. I think everybody should be happy with this pay-per-view. No, it's not WrestleMania. No, it's not the best card ever. No, they're not the best matches ever. But I think SethCody Part 2 was better than SethCody Part 1. I think Edge AJ Part 2 was better than Edge AJ Part 1. I think Omas Lashley was better than Omas Lashley Part 1. I think Ronda and Charlotte were better than their Part 1. And Madcap and Corbin was something we hadn't seen before. But Corbin did a good job of making that match worth being on a premium live event. Yes, we could have definitely benefited from some more women's matches, especially when Becky Lynch is talking about how WWE features their women so well. They didn't really feature them very well tonight, but regardless, they had them work a match that was very brutal, and they did a really good job in it. I think with this final match here, we're going to eventually see the tag unification happen at Money in the Bank or SummerSlam, and we're definitely going to continue to see Drew feud with Roman. That's definitely not over. It's not going to be no Nakamura coming up. Nakamura's messing with Zayn right now. I like the chemistry Zayn has with Heyman, with all the snitching and shit that he does. But right now, it's not going to be Nakamura doing anything with Reigns. It's going to continue to be Drew McIntyre. He's going to get that chance. He deserves to have it. He was the champion during the pandemic era. I always say that, and I think they're giving him a chance here to redeem himself and have a shot at being a champion in front of fans. Whether or not he actually wins anything, I don't know, but he's the guy right now, especially since they need somebody from SmackDown to feud with Roman, given what the networks want and how the networks are pissed off that they're going back and forth with the big superstars. Roman needs to be feuding with Drew. They kept both of them very strong in this match, and I'm very intrigued to see where they go from here, because we know that Drew's going to say, well, I didn't lose. You didn't do shit to me. I had you beat. I hit a Claymore. And then by the same token, RkBro could say I had the Usos beat, if not for Roman Reigns. So these two matches between the singles match there and the tag teams are still matches that have heat and have legitimate story behind them and legitimate reason to continue. So I thought that it was great to have a great match, end it the way you want to, as long as it's not a way that ends a feud. It didn't. It left the door open, protected the right people. I was really happy with it. Other than that, that's all we had for Wrestlemania Backlash tonight, guys. Please follow me on Twitter at BeyondMattWWE. We're on all podcast platforms. Subscribe, rate 5 stars, leave a review if you have time. Send us an email, matt@beyondthemat.com, and we will answer your questions on the air on our weekly review show. I got a lot of other things planned for the show coming up. I'll be back tomorrow with the Raw review. Had a really fun time tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you had a happy Mother's Day as well. Other than that, have a great night, guys. If you're listening to this the following day on Monday, hope you have a good start to your week. I'll see you guys later tonight on Monday for Monday Night Raw.